All right, this is our last quiz of the year. Last quiz of the marking period, last chance to do well on this marking period. This is it. So let's make sure that we understand this. All right, 10, 11, and 12, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over homework from section 12.2 because the majority of the quiz is on 12.2. So that's what I'm going to do right now. We just went over all the answers to the homework. So let's do a few of these. Let me just see something here. Yeah. You know how in the last test we did the review and I said the problems on the test are going to be the same kind of problems but not exactly? Well, what was true about that test? Almost every single problem was what? Was exactly, all right? And there were a lot of good grades. It was a little inflated, which I'm okay with just because it's the end of the marking period, trying to help you out a little bit. But I'm telling you right now, I just looked, okay? The problems from this homework are not the same exact numbers. So if all you did was just memorize the answers from the last review to do on the test, you're not going to be able to do that here. But memorize how to do it. Know how to do it. The numbers will, at least for this one anyway, let me just double check. Yep, the numbers are different. So they are not exactly the same on this problem. All right, so they give you, the bottom is 5. They give you this is 11. And they give you this is Z, side Z. This is G. This is K. Don't know why they made that Z when they make this GHK, but that's okay. That's what they do. All right. So what do we got to find? We got to find this side, which should be easy. We don't even have to do any trig to find that side. And then we find this angle, and then we find this angle. So those are the things that we're trying to find, those three things. All right, so number 10 on the homework, it says solve for Z. Yeah, that's what I would do first. I would solve for Z. Best thing about summer break's going to be nobody's going to ask me to go to the bathroom. Well, if you text me, I'll tell you you cannot go. How's that? All right, so here we go. Let's solve for Z. So what's the process? What are we going to do to get Z by itself here? We don't have to do any trig at all. Look, I got a right triangle. I got two sides. What am I going to do? Pythagorean theorem. That's right. Let's do Pythagorean theorem. Let's do it quick. So that's Z squared equals 5 squared plus 11 squared. Yeah. And the problem says, round it to the nearest tenth. Okay, so we're not going to keep it as a exact answer. We're not going to keep it as a square root. We're going to put it into our calculator, round it to the nearest tenth. All right. So how do you get rid of this Z? We take the square root of both sides. So that's basically what you're doing right there. Let me put it into a calculator. Well, let's do a little step first before we put it into a calculator. You could put it in just the way it is right now. But what's 5 squared? It's 25. What's 11 squared? Anybody know that? It's 121. And so what is that? That's the square root of 146. Did I do that right? All right. And then we're not going to leave it like that. Some of you guys on the test, even though it said round it to the nearest whatever, some of you guys left it as a square root. And that's incorrect. Even though I probably let you go on it. All right, I think I did. And I shouldn't have. If I was tough, which I'm getting kind of wimpy just because I'm trying to get you to have the highest grades you can, I figured you still know how to do this, but you got to follow instructions. If the instructions say to round to the nearest tenth, don't leave it like this. This is not rounded to the nearest tenth. Everybody hear me? So you don't leave it like that, because on the quiz, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to mark it wrong if that's how you leave that answer. Everybody hear me, right? I'll refer back to the video, and I'll say, well, too bad, so sad. All right. because I told you to round it to the nearest tenth. So 146 square root 12.08. So it's 12 point, watch this. Don't write this as your answer though, but it's 12.08 blah, blah, blah. What does that 8 do to the 0? It rounds it up. So what's your final answer? It's 12.1. So that should be your answer. There shouldn't be any other answer except for that. 12.08 would be wrong. Why? Why would that be wrong? Because it says round to the nearest tenth. All right, because the decimal actually keeps going. All right, there's a bunch of other numbers after that. But you just need the second one to know to round that one up one place. So that would be your answer for Z. So Z is equal to that. All right, that wasn't even any trig stuff. I'm going to get rid of this just to give myself some more room. Let's solve for G. Okay, this angle down here at the bottom left. Now we're going to have to do some trig. Right? How do I do the trig? I got to figure out, am I going to use the sine, the cosine, or the tangent? Well, what allows us, or what tells us which trig function we're supposed to use? Well, let's go to the two numbers that they give us. Now we know this, but remember, this is an approximation of 12.1. I would rather not use this one. Now, technically you could, and you could probably still get the right answer, but I would just use either this one or these two sides right here. So what is 11 to angle G? Is it adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse? What is the 11 to the angle G? It's opposite. No, this is adjacent. 11 is opposite. Okay? What is the 5? The 5 is adjacent. Which trig function uses opposite and adjacent? The tangent, right, the TOA. So, ka, what? TOA, T-O-A. That's how you know you're going to use the tangent to find angle G. Any questions on that? Now's the time to ask. All right, again, look at the two sides they give you. They give you this side, which is opposite. They give you this side, which is adjacent. You're like, oh, I know opposite and adjacent. I write opposite and adjacent down. Which one goes with opposite and adjacent? Tangent does. So I'm going to go what? The tangent of this angle, angle G, is equal to, okay, so what is the opposite again? We've already said it, but say it again. What's the opposite? What number is the opposite of G? 11. Which one is the adjacent to this angle? It's the one that's next to it. It's 5. Now, we got to know what to do when we get this situation right here. I got to get G by itself. So I got to get rid of the tangent. How do I get rid of the tangent? I don't divide. It's not a number. It's not a variable. How do I get rid of a tangent? We said it earlier when I read off the answers to the homework. How do I get rid of a tangent? Come on, somebody talk to me. It's like the inverse. It's not just like it. It is. It's the inverse. So I take the inverse of the tangent, which will get rid of that. So G is equal to the inverse tangent of 11 over 5. You don't even have to write it like that if you don't want to. If you just look at that and you say, how do I get the angle? I take the inverse tangent of it, then that's what you do. All right, let's get a calculator up here. Again, for the 47th time, you must know how to use your calculator. If you don't have a calculator like this, you might put it in differently. All right, on this one I always got to set it to 2 degrees. You probably will not have to do that if you've already used it in degrees before. So how do I do this on this calculator? Inverse tangent. Where do I go? Second function, and then tangent. There's your inverse tangent. Then you're going to put 11. How do I put over 5? What do I do that? How do I do that? 11 what? Divided by 5. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and there's your answer. Again, we're rounding this to the nearest tenth. So it's 65.55. What does that second 5 do to that first 5 right here? Makes it into a 6. That's right. It rounds it up. So my answer is going to be 65 point what? 6 degrees. Remember, this is an angle. Okay, I found angle G. This is what I found right there. I found out what that angle is. And that's 65.6 degrees. On this particular problem, this is the only time we actually had to do any trig, because I could find angle H very easily now. Because I know this angle is 90. I know this one is 65.6. How do I find this missing one up here? I don't have to use any trig now. I can do something very, very simple. So how do I find angle H? All right, I'll just say it. So you got 180 degrees minus the 90. You got it. That's what I was looking for. Okay, we talked about that a lot the other day. 90 minus 65.6. And that's what? 25.4 is that, or 24.4? So that would be, whoops. That would be 24.4 degrees, and that's angle H. All right, so there's the three things. We found angle Z, which is side Z, which is 12.1. We found angle G, which is 65.6 degrees. Then we found angle H very easily by getting 24.4 degrees. All right, and that's how we do it. You're going to have a question very, very similar. I actually broke it up into 3 questions. So this would have been like number 1, this would have been number 2, and this would have been number 3, okay? So even though it's one problem, I made them 3 separate questions on the quiz. All right? I think I did. Let me check. I did, yes. All right, let's do another one. Let's do finding one that's kind of similar. Okay, let's do number 16. I'm going to change the numbers up a little bit. All right, still a right triangle. Everything we're doing on this quiz is all about right triangles. All right, so I got a right triangle here. I'm just going to make up some numbers. Let's make this 10, and let's make this, I don't know, let's make it weird. Let's go 17, okay? And I want to find this right here, and I want to find angle, this is Z, this is X, and this is angle Y. And so I want to find angle Z, and I want to find angle X, and I want to find this right here, side Y. Everybody with me? So this, again, is a problem on the test. I split it up into 3, so this would be like number 3, 4, and 5 or something like, or no, what would it be? 4, 5, and 6, okay? Everybody watching? All right. So, no, let's not do that one. We just did one just like that, didn't we? Because I found the hypotenuse, then I found this angle and this angle. Let's not do that one. Let's do another type. Sorry about that. Let's do one that looks like this. So the triangle looks the same, but the numbers they give you are a little bit different. All right, so let's do one like this. Let's say this is 8. Let's say this is, I don't know, just make it 50 degrees. And that's it. So we'll call this side B. We'll call this side C. We'll do this as angle B. This is angle A. And this is angle C. There we go. All right, so what are we trying to find here? Well, we're trying to find angle B. We're trying to find side B. If I can get this pen to work right. There we go, side B, and I want to find side C. So that's what I'm looking for. The easiest thing to find right now is the angle. Angle B is the easiest thing. We've done it once already. Let's do it again. So angle B. Everybody look at it. Look, they give you this as 90. They give you this as 50. So you should be able to figure out angle B. Look up here and pay attention. Put your legs around the front and pay attention and quit talking to everybody else. So angle B. Look, I give you 2 angles of a right triangle. We did it already. I'll say it again. It's just 90 minus 50. That's how you find angle B. No trig involved. No Pythagorean theorem, nothing like that. You just subtract 50 from 90, And angle B is what? 40 degrees. All right, so there you go. That was super easy. That's one problem on the test, okay? I'm going to give you something just like this. The numbers will be a little bit different, but it'll look just like this. I feel like just giving you the quiz tomorrow, not even reviewing anymore. How does everybody feel about that? Everybody okay with that? Okay, we'll talk to the young man right here, okay, because he's going to make it happen. You can all blame him. You going to pay attention? Don't look around. I'm talking to you. Let's keep going. You don't know how difficult it is for me just to keep going because I'm just ready to blow my top. I'm trying to do everything I can to help you, and some of you guys aren't paying a lick of attention. Here we go. Let's solve for B. It doesn't matter. You could use this angle 40 or you could use this angle 50. Let's use this angle 50, the one they gave us, okay? Let's solve for B. So what trig function am I going to use? How do I know which one to use? Well, I'm trying to solve for B. That's adjacent to the 50, so I need to use one that has adjacent. Do I know another side on this triangle? Yeah, I know this, don't I? What side is that to the 50? It's opposite. So I've got opposite and what else? Adjacent. We did this one before. Which one uses opposite and adjacent? The tangent. That's right. So I take the tangent of what? Not just the number. There's several numbers here. The tangent of, which angle was I looking at? The 50. I'm looking at the 50, okay? So because this is opposite the 50, this is adjacent to the 50. So I'm looking at the 50, all right? So I take the tangent of 50 equals the opposite over the adjacent. So the opposite is 8 over the adjacent, which is B. So that's how we set it up. Now we have to do a little bit of algebra to get B by itself. This is what I want to get by itself right there. So this is one that's a little bit more difficult because B is on the bottom. All right? If B is on the bottom, I don't want it there. I want it on the top. I want it over here on the top. How do I get rid of it? I multiply by B. Multiply this side by B. So that cancels out. Let's rewrite this. For some of you guys, you might be able to just do this in your head. But if you can't, then write down these steps. So all I did was just get the B on the other side. Now it's on top. That's good. How do I get it by itself? Well, I have to get rid of what? Not just the tan. The tan what? The tangent of 50. The tangent of 50 is just a number. The tangent itself is not a number, but the tangent of 50 is just a decimal number. You put it in a calculator, you get some number. All right? So how do I get rid of a number if it's being multiplied? I divide. And then I divide the other side by it. Look what happens. The tangent of 50 cancels on this side, so now I got B by itself. Now what do I put into the calculator? 8 divided by the tangent of 50. Let's come over here to the calculator and put it in. So I'm going to go 8 divided by, and then I just put in tangent of 50. Tangent of 50. I'm going to close that parentheses, hit enter. There it is. Again, we're rounding it to one decimal place, so you look to the right. That's a 1. Does the 1 round the 7 up? Nope. So what is B? It's just, 6.7. So that's what B is right there. It's approximately, I'll put squiggle, equals 6.7. We got one more to do, and that's C. Again, I don't want to use Pythagorean theorem because this is an approximation, so let's use the trig function again. Let's stick with the 50 degrees. So this time we know 8, which is opposite. This time we're trying to solve for C. What is the C? C is the hypotenuse. So here I go. I got opposite and I got hypotenuse. Which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse? The sines, not a sin, it's a sine. It's the sine of what? This angle. Okay, this is the angle that is opposite to. So I'm using the sine of 50 this time. is equal to the opposite sine, or side, I should say, which is 8, over the hypotenuse, which is c. The algebra is just like what we did here, but let's streamline this a little bit. Okay, look what we did here. If I got b by itself, remember I started off with this. I started off with the tangent of 50 equals 8 over b. What did I end up with? I end up with b by itself, and then what did I do? I put the b on the top here, the tangent of 50 on the bottom. Everybody see that? So instead of going through all these steps right here, you should just be able to look at that. So what am I going to do with this c? I'm going to put it on the top on the other side. What am I going to do with this sine of 50? Put it where? On the bottom, right? So I got rid of the c, put it over here. How do I get rid of this? Put it on the bottom. So what am I going to get? 8 over the sine of 50. It's not the tangent of 50 this time. It's the sine of 50. That'll give me a different number. All right? Put that into a calculator. Let's do it. 8 divided by sine of 50. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and that's 10.4. That second 4 doesn't round it up, so there's your answer. So C is 10.4, B is 6.7, angle B is 40 degrees. You're going to see something almost identical to that on the quiz, except this is not going to be 50. It's going to be another angle. This is not going to be an 8. It's going to be another side. Again, I'm not just saying that this time, that they're going to be different numbers. They absolutely are. I'm looking at the quiz right now, all right, and I see that they are going to be different numbers. So don't memorize the answers, but learn how to do the problem. All right, we got a few more minutes left. Let's continue. Let's see what else I got. Okay, the next one. Remember I said 21 to 25. I did not assign to you, but you will see something like that on the quiz. So what they do is they just tell you. They don't draw a triangle for you. So this is number 21. We'll do number 21 on the homework assignment. So they tell you angle B is 78 degrees. Making sure. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you one that more closely resembles the one on the quiz. So they give you one where they give you two sides. So let's do number 25 instead of 21. Let's do 25. Okay, so they tell you that little a is 33 and little b is 17. That's side A and that's side B. These are not angles. All right, so what I'm going to do is draw a right triangle. On the quiz, they don't draw you the triangle. You have to do this yourself if you want to see what side's opposite what and all that kind of stuff. All right, they say A is 33. Oh, they do tell you this. They tell you this is A, this is B, and this is C. All right, so they do tell you that. On the quiz, though, I will not, okay? But the C will always be the hypotenuse. Everybody good with that? All right, so you need to draw this and then put the stuff in here. So A is 33, B is 17. It's not really drawn to scale, but who cares? So what are we solving for then? Well, we got to solve for C, correct? What else we got to solve for? This is side B, so this is angle B. This is side A, so this is angle A. This is side C, so that's angle C. So we got to solve for angle A, we got to solve for angle B, and we got to solve for side C. What's the first thing you're going to solve for? I would solve for side C. So side C, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. I think we've already done one just like this, okay, but let's do it again. So C squared is equal to 33 squared plus 17 squared. Take the square root of both sides, plug that into your calculator. I'll just put it all in my calculator at once. So I'm going to go 33 squared plus 17 squared. That equals that number. Take the square root, and it's 37.1. So C is 37.1. And that makes sense because the hypotenuse should always be the longest side, correct? All right, and is the hypotenuse the longest side? Yeah. What if you got a number like 27.1? Then you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, I must have done something wrong. Why would I have done something wrong if I would have got 27.1? Because the hypotenuse would be smaller. Hypotenuse has to be the longest side. All right, so if you would have gotten a number that's smaller than 33, then you know you did it wrong. You got to try something else. All right, or you might have made a mistake on your calculator or something. But yeah, that looks fine. That looks like it could be correct, so I'm good with that. So I'm going to circle that. Let's solve for angle A. So if I want to find angle A, look at the two sides that they give me. They give me the opposite and the adjacent, almost identical to what we did before. So what trig function uses opposite and adjacent for the third time today? It's opposite over adjacent, TOA, tangent. So it's the tangent of what? This angle. What angle is this? It's angle A, right? If this is opposite A and this is adjacent to A, we got to take the tangent of A. That scares me. You guys aren't saying that because you should know that like right away. Maybe you're just not talking. I don't know. So here we go. The tangent of A is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So I go 33 over 17. Now, what's the math here? I got to get A by itself, so I get rid of the tangent. How do I get rid of a tangent? I take the inverse of the tangent. So I'm going to take the inverse tangent of this side as well. Okay, we did it once earlier today. We did it last week. Did it on Friday of last week. Watch the video from Friday. All right, we did quite a few of these. So there you go. You got A by itself. So now all we got to do is throw that into a calculator. How do we do that? Second function tangent of 33 divided by 17, close the parentheses, equals 62.7. 62.7, and it's degrees. Why? Because we're finding an angle. Okay, we're finding an angle. So that angle right there is 62.7 degrees. That's what that angle is right there. Now, very easily, without doing any trig, that was the only trig we had to do with that problem, we got to solve for angle B. This is the third time that we've done this today. So you should be able to just look at it and say, oh yeah, what do I do? So angle B is what? What do I have to do? No trig involved to find angle B. I know this angle. I know this angle is 90. So it's 90 minus, right? 90 minus 62.7 degrees. And that's whatever that is. I should be able to do that in my head. 27.3. 27.3 degrees. And that's angle B. There you go. You got your 3. So those are the last 3 problems on the quiz. So that's numbers 8, 9, and 10 on the quiz. All right? The numbers are different. I promise the numbers are going to be different. All right? But that's how you do it. There's one more thing. Number 1, I ask you for something slightly different. So hang on for a second. You got still 2 minutes left. So number 1, I don't actually ask you to find an angle. I just ask for the sine. So watch. Let's say that's 3. Now let's do a different number. Let's say that's 5, and that's 12, and that's 13. Remember that? Okay, and we'll call this angle A, B, C. Why are we standing up? I don't understand. I don't recall the bell ringing or me dismissing you. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to find the sine of A, the cosine of A, and the tangent of A. I am not asking you to actually find angle A on number 1. Everybody understand that? Just what the sine, cosine, and tangent is. This is number 1 on the quiz. And you got to get all 3 right to get number 1. It's not like numbers 1, 2, and 3. It's just number 1. So how do I find the sine of angle A? Well, the sine is the what over the what? Opposite over hypotenuse. Right, it's opposite over hypotenuse. So which one's opposite angle A? 5. Over the hypotenuse, which is 13. Do the same thing with cosine. Cosine is the what? It's the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So that's 12 over 13. The tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So that's 5 over 12. Okay? And that is your answers right there. Yeah, put your homework on that chair right there. There you go. So that's your answers to something like that. Quiz tomorrow. The rest of the week we review for the final.